Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, the Electoral College vote is a system of electing the president and vice president every 4 years in the United States. The system is found in the 12th Amendment of the Constitution. The political parties in each state pick people named electors. There are 538 electors in the entire country, which is an equal vote for every state. Together, these 538 electors make up the Electoral College. My partners and I strongly support the resolution that the Electoral College vote should be abolished. My first assertion is that the Electoral College vote ignores the will of the people. What counts in the Electoral College are the votes of the 538 electors, not the people. Electors look at the majority of the people's vote and often agree with them, but at the end of the day, electors can still vote for whoever they want. Electors who voted against their state's decision rarely even get called out for it. In some states, electors get a fine for their decision, but there's no law that is really enforced. Whatever presidential candidate gets the most electoral votes wins, so it has nothing to do with the popularity vote. In 2016, 10 electors voted for President Trump, when the majority of the people voted for Hillary Clinton. This has happened 167 times over the course of history, showing that the Electoral College takes the power away from the people. My second assertion is that the Founding Fathers who created the Electoral College are no longer relevant. The Founding Fathers cannot foresee how the country has changed. Our country is changing constantly in many ways. It is more nationalized culturally, and the internet and communication has united the country in unforeseeable ways. The Founding Fathers who created the Electoral College are no longer relevant because the system is outdated. The Electoral College vote may have seemed to be functional back then, but due to the changes our country has been through, the system should really be abolished. The Electoral College vote was created by the Founding Fathers in 1787. During this time, the Founding Fathers believed that a direct vote would give too much power to an individual. Also during this time, popular locations had limited technology and information access for all citizens. My third assertion is that the Electoral College vote gives too much power to swing states. Most small states get ignored in presidential politics. If the system was based on popular vote, then almost all small states would get more attention than they currently do. Swing states like Colorado, Florida, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin get all the attention. A November 6, 2016 episode of PBS NewsHour revealed that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have made more than 9% of their campaign in just 11 so-called battleground states. For those of you who don't know what battleground states are, they're basically big states that contain big political parties.
Hello, my name is Elijah. Our team engaged the resolution that the Electoral College should be eliminated because we believe in the preservation of our democracy and the Constitution of the United States, where among other things, we the people, in order to form a more perfect being, ensure domestic tranquility, promote the general welfare, and secure the rights and liberty for ourselves and our prosperity. You see, there is a much greater, deeper meaning behind the purpose of the Electoral College than the average person may assume. The Electoral College is a well-thought-out voting system designed by our Founding Fathers. It now consists of 538 electors from each state to elect the President and Vice President of the United States based on their political party's tickets. Congress ratified the 12th Amendment in 1804, creating the basis of the Electoral College we know today. However, aside from the 12th Amendment, the actual basis for which the Electoral College was formed remains true. And that basis is to allow smaller states to have parity when choosing the nation's executive leaders. In this case, parity is a condition of each state being equal in terms of representation and opportunity to have a voice in our country's election process. On average, each elector represents approximately 753,000 citizens, with each state provided an additional 2 electors. This provides all citizens comparative representation. The District of Columbia and 48 states have a winner-takes-all process, which awards all the electors' votes to the candidates that receive a majority of the popular vote. Maine and Nebraska are the only exceptions where they rely on proportional representation. A candidate would need a minimum of 270 votes to win. In either case, each vote cast is a vote that counts and included in the Electoral College process. To say otherwise is an argument of futility or is pointless. Our first assertion is the Electoral College provides voter parity. Why does the Electoral College work so well? The Electoral College works so well because it gives each state, regardless of its size, representation and voice. For example, in a majority-one election process, a state like Hawaii cannot compete against a state like California. The Electoral College was formed to provide equal representation related to census counts. For each grouping of approximately 753,000 citizens, there will be an electoral representative. In addition to this, state is allocated 2 extra electoral votes. This is the true value of the Electoral College, which levels the playing field. If this didn't exist, then hypothetically, president and vice president candidates would only need to focus on the top 9 populous states to win the majority of the vote. This would weaken representation and the voices of 41 other states. Certainly, this wouldn't be fair, nor would it ensure domestic tranquility and secure the blessings of liberty as granted us by the preamble of our Constitution. A second assertion is it ensures the candidates address local concerns. Because each state has an electoral value, presidential and vice presidential candidates need to address issues of local concern, not just nationwide issues. It is said all politics is local, and the Electoral College process ensures this. Why is this important? Because each state has its own set of issues it needs to resolve. In a state like Michigan, where the automotive industry laid off a lot of its auto workers and closed factories, a solution must be found on how to take care of those auto workers and their families. Whereas in Hawaii, where we used to be a heavy agriculture state, growing sugarcane and pineapple, we've seen over the years plantations being shut down and our agricultural workforce substantially decreased. Although it's an economic welfare issue for both states, one deals with auto workers and the other deals with agriculture workers, solutions will be very different for each state because of its dynamics. The Electoral College process provides the opportunity for candidates and voters to interact and address issues that need to be discussed and highlighted. Is the camera ready? Is the opposition ready? Is the camera ready? Are the judges ready? Alright, first I'd like to start by repeating my point. What you said that the 500 that candidates need 270 votes to win. Although this is a good policy, giving the people the chance to vote gives them more power. Rogue electors can greatly influence these elections and completely disregard what the people have chosen. My name is Kaleo and I am on the Pacific Proposition. Our resolution is that the Electoral College should be eliminated. My first assertion is that one of the premises of choosing the Electoral College is no longer relevant. When the Electoral College was originally created by the founding fathers, believed that the public were incompetent and uneducated, unable to elect a worthy candidate. In today's world, people are fully capable of making a choice between 2 candidates. When the Electoral College was originally created, it was used in favor of large southern slaveholders and landowners. Electorate officials were easily bribed, and in the event that there was a large number of black voters, these electors would disregard their point of view. At the time, slaves could be counted as 3/5 of the vote, which was taken advantage of by slaveholders. Although it did not directly affect the election because the popular vote was not used, it drove up a lot of publicity for the southern states. In the case that the electoral vote caters to a Republican, in this case, the electoral vote caters to Republican, white, urban, and suburban voters. Smaller states that often are given more power than the vast majority of the cities. When compared to population, Texas and California have the same population for electoral votes. Although smaller states like Iowa, Kentucky, and Indiana, and Kansas all have about 2 more electoral votes than they should have. Iowa candidates Kansas both should have about 4 electoral votes, but they have 6. Kentucky should have about 6 when they have 8, and Indiana should have about 9 when they have 11. This may not seem like a large number, but in the case of Iowa and Kansas, there's about 50% more electoral votes than they should have. My second assertion is that the Electoral College campaign strategies continues to leave states unaware. Although increasing the amount of money the candidate would spend on the election process, using the popular vote would force them to spread their efforts further and not disperse the states with the most quality votes. But states with smaller states would not be left on the sidelines. The Electoral College claims that it protects the uninformed voter, but in this case, it is also the reason that they are uninformed. People don't know as much about the candidates because the candidates are not taking the time to know the state. The Electoral College discourages American people from voting. The Electoral College discourages voters from participating in elections. In our current system, as it says, people have no control over the electors, and they end up carrying out their own biases when they disagree with the people. It is not uncommon that electors go rogue and do not carry out the will of the people. As Malakai stated earlier, this happened 10 times in the last election, where people had one stance and electors carry out their own against what the people wanted. In recent years, people have stopped and started to ask, what's the point? What purpose is my vote? What am I to do in a democracy that doesn't even count my vote? Last year, we saw a large group drop in the amount of voters that were eligible. About 30% of the eligible voters didn't come. My concluding sentence is that the Electoral College is no longer relevant in today's modern democracy. It gives the upper hand to smaller red states, it leaves voters uninformed, and finally it discourages voters from voting. Thank you.
Sometimes the Electoral College can be an abstract concept. However, it is the Electoral College which keeps society running. Hi, I'm Kyle, and our team strongly against the resolution that Electoral College should be eliminated. My opponent said that with the Electoral College, the outcome is not fair because it doesn't directly show the will of the people. Well, this is not true because popular vote is still taken into account in voting. It's just that the Electoral College shows how senators represent the people's votes. Senators are responsible people and care about the people's voice. They play a role in making sure that there is no tie. The people are the ones who select the electors to allow them to have a voice. It's hard to please everybody in today's society, especially when the topic of voting comes up. Let's say various large states have a lot of Republicans in it. It makes it one-sided and unfair for Democrats who may be strong but distributed equally in smaller, less relevant states. With Electoral College, it makes it so that all people, regardless of dominance in party, get equal say in electing. Critics argue that today's voters are educated well, but a lot of people end up not voting, which may not be an accurate representation of the people as a whole. According to KUT.org, 90% of voters said that voting is crucial for our duties as citizens. 81% agree that voting is important, yet they end up not voting. I'd also like to refute what my opponent said, how the Electoral College gives too much power to swing states. The Electoral College includes all states of the country in selecting the President of the United States. The presidential candidates have to focus on getting votes. Votes come from the people, and people make their best judgments on the votes. Candidates gain votes from a lot of states by campaigning and using ads. With popular vote, on the other hand, it limits candidates to focus on more populated areas and not focus on the needs of smaller states such as Iowa or Wyoming. This is why the government implemented the Electoral College system. Each state, no matter the size, gets at least 3 Electoral College votes, evening out the playing field dramatically. Therefore, every single vote is worth competing for, and every state in the U.S. deserves equal say in electing. The Electoral College allows the minority to have a say because oftentimes they're neglected. That being said, the majority is included as well. There is no guarantee in voting, which makes candidates possess the desire to persuade every state and talk about important national issues. To ensure that all votes count, the state establishes a system which is based off of local vote outcomes. It is then passed to the state. It creates an outcome which shows what the people want. Lastly, I would like to refute what my opponent said about how the Electoral College is no longer relevant and obsolete. The Electoral College origins
The Electoral College has 538 electors, and for someone to succeed at being president, you need 270 Electoral College votes. The amount of electors for each state is based on the number of Congress members which represent the state. Our founding fathers knew that they had to implement a system where it is not only focused on democracy or republic. Our founders studied history and knew of the democracy's downfalls. Its origins date back to 1804, but that doesn't mean it's obsolete or ineffective. Therefore, the Electoral College system is bound to this long, proud history. It is also well organized, taking into account that humans do make mistakes and choose not to be fair. Therefore, the Electoral College justifies that and bows natural tendencies. The Electoral College is more representative of the people than popular vote because there is a marginal difference when voting. In 1960, John F. Kennedy won only 49.7% of the popular vote compared to Nixon's 49.5%. However, Kennedy won 56% of the electoral vote compared to Nixon's 41%. To conclude, the Electoral College is a very reliable system, and although it has some flaws, the Electoral College plays an important role in today's elections. Thank you.
Are my judges ready? No? Yes, you are. Okay. Opponents ready? The timer ready? And is the audience ready? Okay. My teammates have argued many reasonable evidence that support our claim that the Electoral College should be held. The fact that the opposition claims that doing away with the Electoral College is fair is completely uneducated and untrue. In fact, the base of the argument of the abolishment of the Electoral College is built upon wanting the voice of the people to decide the president and vice president. My partners have asserted the following. First, an ignored probability is that if the president roles are elected by national votes, campaign prices would skyrocket, most likely causing rebellion. And second, the electoral votes and representatives give an equal voice to all states of the U.S. Presidential candidates are in charge of campaigning to gain support for upcoming elections. More commonly, candidates would only campaign in regions in which they know they will win their votes. Solely relying on the national popular vote will increase campaign costs by an insane amount of money. As an example, in the 2008 presidential elections, Barack Obama spent about $730 million campaigning. If that is the amount that Barack Obama spent campaigning in areas relevant to his vote, we can only guess how much it will cost to have to appeal to the 327.2 million people of the U.S. As a result of the increase of campaign prices, candidates will be forced to rely on public contributions and some form of deduction, and that would cause an unneeded, preventable outbreak of anger. My opponent stated that the Electoral College doesn't give power to small states. However, statistics clearly negate that. There are 50 states in the United States of America. None of them are proportional in population. For example, California has 18,251,826 registered voters. That's a difference of 17,679,426 compared to Wyoming, with a mere 572,400 registered voters. Since Wyoming is a solid Republican state, Democrats and the supporters of Wyoming would have no chance in having a voice in elections. Therefore, abolishing the Electoral College would not give an equal voice between small and large states. This would only cause an uproar. The Electoral College is in charge of representing the left and right of each state equally, and has done a terrific job of upholding that. If the people argue that the Electoral College doesn't give their voice a chance to be heard, it doesn't necessarily need to land on abolishing the Electoral College. We can use popular vote to decide who represents them in the House of Representatives. That will in turn satisfy their claim of their votes being irrelevant. The probability of the Electoral College being held is high. There is not enough evidence to prove that the Electoral College needs to be completely eliminated. Many political scientists have studied the impacts and the significance of the group of representatives. Dr. Ann Sidmar, Associate Professor, EU Department of Government and Economics, states that the Electoral College, because of the winner-take-all system employed by most states, ensures that the actual choices for president are winnowed down to a few names. That means that a good portion of Americans are voting for the winning candidate, even if the popular vote winner loses. This is another thing that clearly disqualifies the argument that the popular vote doesn't matter. Although it doesn't directly select the president role, it plays a part in ensuring that the people of the U.S. get a say in who they want in governmental positions. Keeping the Electoral College will have immediate and long-term effects, and has had a long-term effect on politics. The Electoral College has been in effect ever since September 6, 1787, and has never caused any problems in elections whatsoever up to this day. It has kept the balance over controversial elections and even close calls.
If we were to eliminate the Electoral College now, many financial, economical, and physical problems will take place long-term and some immediately, as previously stated. Making a massive move such as that will immediately cause breakouts of anger up and down streets, causing physical and economical damage everywhere. My opponent stated that the Electoral College vote is irrelevant. So, over time, what would be the significance of the Senate and even the states themselves? The moral of the state and the government is to dispense equal power throughout the 50 states of America. That is why the Electoral College exists. We should not come to concluding that the Electoral College should be abolished. Instead, we can satisfy the wants of the people by letting popular vote define who represents them in the Electoral College and the House of Representatives. Thank you.
First, I'm going to repeat what my opponent said. He said that the popular vote would actually count as also part of the Electoral College, but that actually is not true. Because Hillary Clinton won the popular vote in 2016, but Donald Trump won the electoral vote, which shows how some people, or most people, voted for the Hillary Clinton, but they still got Donald Trump. Also, they said the Electoral College saves spending costs, which is true, but it leaves many states uncovered. Many people uninformed about the candidate. People are much likely to take the time to listen to a candidate and take the time to visit their state. And they also said the Electoral College gives the people their voice, but honestly, it doesn't. Because when you vote for the elector, they're saying that they're going to choose someone, but they don't always have to do that. That's my view. There is something called a roving elector, which happens when the possibility of an elector being dishonest and choose a different candidate, which shows how the system does not work unless we do it ourselves. This happened many times in the 2016 election where 5 people defected from Hillary Clinton to Donald Trump, which could have swayed the tide of the election. Because of this, a majority of the U.S. citizens do not support the Electoral College. According to Anna Fahey, part of the Sideline Institute, only 30% of Americans support the Electoral College. That other 7% dislike the voting system. The Electoral College discourages citizens from voting. Popular vote, the voters are more informed. They would have to go far away to each state to talk to everyone and get them to vote for them. It would change everything about campaigning. It would be better and more inclusive way of collecting everyone's opinions. This is important because each election there are those who are uninformed of the right candidate. There are those who are wronged by their electors. There are those whose voices never heard. According to the Washington Post, around 30% of American eligible voters did not vote during the 2016 election. Those 30% have changed the entire presidential race, but they never got the chance. If this resolution is passed, it will positively affect the citizens, because it will give the citizens more power in choosing who they want. There is a higher probability of a turnout if it is changed to popular vote, because people would learn that they have more power in their voice. Their voices would be heard, and then every vote would count, according to the Atlantic. If we continue with this outdated system, there will eventually be another disagreement of why it's needed, or if it even helps when it is alright. The effect of having a terrible voting system affects us directly now. What happens if we don't get our own votes validated? We lose all of our rights as citizens to vote in the country that we say has democracy. Not just now, but also in the future. This could affect the whole next generation, and the generation after that. With this system, it doesn't give the people what we need. The Electoral College could be seen as a good thing, but it really doesn't give citizens the power to choose. If this system was demolished, it could give more power to the people, instead of the chosen few who say they represent us. Are you going to be the reason nothing changes? Are you going to be the reason why